You're listening to a WNYO original podcast.
Welcome to Burnt Popcorn, a new movie podcast on the WNYO podcast website. I don't know how to. I'm shit at intros. I'm Charlie Shipley, as I said earlier.
I'm Emily Kwasnick.
And our guest today.
Hi, I'm Jenn. I live
Jenn.
in the hall.
Jenn this week is actually going to be our guest.
Hello.
We're looking to have a guest each week, and she watched the movie with us.
The two of the three movies.
I watched
that we
two
watched?
Two of the three movies that we watched.
Okay, before we get any further and into Jen's week, I would like to just say, spoilers for things that you might want to see.
Spoiler alert! Yeah.
You know, we're watching old movies, we're watching bad movies. You might not want to see them, but for anyone who actually does want to watch them, spoilers ahead.
One thing I really like about this is we're comparing good and bad movies, but in the end, which one really is the bad movie? Because we went into, say, this week thinking one movie was going to be way worse than the other, and we ended up enjoying the bad movie
1,000 times more.
Exactly.
Like, look at, Dangerous Minds is a classic from the night.
Classic.
Gangsta's Paradise came from that fucking movie. It revitalized Coolio's career for 3 more weeks, which was cool. You know?
He needed those 3 weeks.
Anywho.
Yes, anywho.
Let's get talking about these movies.
Yes,
Yay,
so Charlie,
movies.
what movie did we watch this week?
So, first we watched Dangerous Minds, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and then nobody else.
None of the rest of the people mattered.
It's Michelle Pfeiffer really. Before we get into plot and stuff like that, I will have to say Michelle Pfeiffer made that movie. She really escalated it.
She was okay.
Really? Well, let's discuss. No, let's discuss this then.
I think that her performance was good. I mean, she's a good actress, but when it comes to, characters, I think her character was one that was lacking. I think some of the students that she was teaching had better backstories, better characterization, and more growth along the way. And so I wasn't as big a fan of her performance because she wasn't, at least written by the story, she wasn't given the opportunity to.
Right, I see that. Michelle Pfeiffer is someone who really can over-dramatically act and do it well. Sometimes not. Cut to that clip of her dancing away from the school in Grease 2 because I love it. And I will
love Grease 2, and I have no idea why.
I will probably
that was a terrible movie.
Grease 2 is awful.
My goal is to find a way to put that clip in each one of our podcasts of her dancing away from the school, just losing her mind.
When you enjoy a movie?
It was honestly, it's hilarious. But anyways, I loved her performance. I thought she gave enough without overselling it and being especially when Emilio dies. We are in spoilers again.
Emilio written down
Emilio
as
was
the prick who dies.
The prick who dies.
Yeah, that's what I labeled him as.
Well, I mean, that works, I guess. But he was the prick with the heart of gold, as we soon find out, because he starts to come onto her side, and then he's still being a dick, but he's I see what you're doing, and it's kind of cool.
I mean, he goes out and starts a fight with the kid anyway.
Yeah, but that was because no one listened to him. That's because
he didn't listen to anyone.
But he's a product of the society. You missed the overtones. There were overtones, Emily.
I don't care about the overtones.
But that's the...
All right then, podcast over.
Okay, I see how it's gonna be. This is gonna be the shit on Emily show.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna watch these movies and judge them, you gotta care about the overtones. Well, let's get through Dangerous Minds a little quickly, because this is the one that Jenn didn't see.
Yeah.
And that's no fault of your own, because
I'm busy Thursday nights.
Yeah, and honestly, Dangerous Minds.
I've seen Dangerous Minds before. I just haven't seen it enough time to analyze it.
Well, do you remember the general?
I remember the general basis of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember how good it was the first time you saw it?
It was a good movie. Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't hold up. That's the thing that I took from this, is that it doesn't hold up. Michelle Pfeiffer's performance, in my opinion, was the only thing that led the
Well, who else in that movie is like known? It's just Michelle Pfeiffer. It's Michelle Pfeiffer. In the movie.
I can't name anybody else specifically off the top of my head. However, I will say some of the students' performances definitely outshine her. I thought Raul was great.
I liked Raul. He was the cinnamon roll. He was so nice. He listened to the teacher.
He did.
Unlike the prick Emilio. Anyway, who was your favorite?
I would have to say. The pregnant girl. What was her name? Callie. I thought. I know that me not remembering her name is not very well denoting.
Well, we don't remember the Hat Kid's name, but he's just the Hat Kid.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Hat Kid because he was just sort of in the back, but like
he was very quiet, but he was quiet.
Yeah, he gave that like one talk where it was like, "You ain't getting through to these kids," and it's like, oh, he wants to learn, but he needs to try harder, and it's like,
it's a story.
I mean,
I
guess it's like a product of the society.
Like, well, yeah. So
like the entire from what I remember, like at the beginning of the movie, none of these kids like cared about school at all, and it's just a product of the society that they grew up in, and like how the school was so like, almost like
yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Is like that's the thing that it's the Stand and Deliver model. It's the Freedom Writers, Dangerous Minds, all those like mid to late 90s to early 2000s movies of how will I teach these kids?
Fucking Emilio.
He doesn't take things too far. He has a heart of gold.
Yes, he does.
I am livid at how you are just putting my boy Emilio down in the dirt.
Oh my god. He started so much shit. He definitely should not have been at that school. Like,
you're not wrong, but I mean, you could argue the same thing for Petey Boy in class of 1984.
Actually psychotic.
Oh, we can go into a whole thing about Stegman.
No, but Stegman was like a better version of JD. He was so psychotic and so murderous.
JD, I don't know if I get that reference. What's that?
JD from Heathers.
Right, okay.
Where he wanted everyone to die, but he wanted everyone to be tortured first. At least Stegman did. And I really appreciated that because showing how he was manipulating everyone.
That's an interesting comparison. Thing about JD. For those who haven't seen Heathers, it's Uma Thurman and Christian Slater and
it's not Uma Thurman.
No,
it's Winona Ryder.
Oh my God, it is Winona Ryder. Oh my God.
Pictures of
Stranger Things.
I am a huge fan of Stranger Things, and Winona Ryder is not my favorite. Winona Ryder is like my least favorite part of Stranger Things.
My mother, if you look at old pictures of her from the 80s, she looks like Winona Ryder.
Really?
Oh my God, yes.
So basically, Heathers was them murdering their classmates, and it's funny. It's hilarious.
It's like Mean Girls, but fucked up.
It's a classic. It's classic.
It's a classic. But no, that's an interesting comparison between Stegman and JD because I would argue that JD at least tried to have a moral bullshit compass because he like his throughout the movie of Heathers, you realize that JD's morals are just as fucked up. Like he thinks he's doing it for like good shit, but Stegman has no morals. He's literally just a bad guy.
Like JD's like, oh, I'm doing it because Heather Chandler's like this asshole, and she's like,
right,
she's like this pompous, arrogant bitch, and then we have, Stegman, who's like,
Stegman's fucked up and so psychotic.
He doesn't give a shit. He just goes and just does this to do it.
Exactly. And so I guess we're talking about Stegman, so we'll introduce 1984. Class of 1984 is the name of the movie. It's got a lot of big names in it that I didn't realize. Yeah. I mean, mainly starting with we'll start with Michael J. Fox is in it. And then also Roddy McDowell is the bio professor, the one with all the bunnies.
He had more than just bunnies. He had a lot of animals.
Well, not at the end of the film.
Was that too far?
Let's slow down. We'll get there in a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Let's finish on Dangerous Minds. Really, I like Dangerous Minds. It definitely didn't hold up like I thought it did. It would. It didn't have the same emotional impact that it did when I was younger because, I mean, I wasn't a troubled kid, but like I understood not wanting to learn, and so like. It really hit me when she actually got them to like learn. So that's my take on Dangerous Minds. Emily? Go on, shit on Dangerous Minds like you want to.
I actually really like Dangerous Minds. I thought it was a very well put together film. It's a movie that I'd probably go pay money to see if it was made now. Yeah, like I wasn't disappointed with it. Just in comparison to the other movie we watched, I don't think that it was as good. I did like parts of it. I liked how it sort of picked one of the kids and then went through their storyline a little bit and then went on to another storyline and how the teacher was relating to these kids that she never thought she would.
Right.
I really liked the wholesome... It had a happy ending. And I liked that part of it because I'm a slut for happy endings.
Well, because I mean, you're a slut for a lot of things.
Oh, I'm just a slut overall.
No, but I think that's a good segue into Class of 1984 is like the whole Stegman comparison of like Emilio and Stegman like are the bad dudes that run the school, and Michelle Pfeiffer and teacher whose name I can't remember, so we'll just edit in over me saying this.
His name's Mr. Norris.
I know his name was Mr. Norris, but I don't know the actor.
Google it.
Google it.
Class of 1984, let me just put in the fact that I was really disappointed that we got only one pair of boobs, and they were completely misplaced.
How?
There was no context.
We also got vagina.
We did, and we don't usually get vagina. We usually get maybe butt and boobs, but we don't usually get vagina, and that was like...
full bush.
We were all like... What?
That was really shocking to me.
Yeah, there's a lot shocking in that movie.
And that isn't something that we'd see today. Like, they don't ever go with a vagina shot anymore. Like, full body, just naked. We don't see that anymore.
Well, I think that can lead us into a good topic for Class of 1984. So,
let's just introduce it.
Let's talk about, like, basically what it's about.
Yes.
So do you want to take this or do you want me to take it?
I can take this.
Okay.
So Class of 1984 takes place in Lincoln High School, where everything just is
fucking high school. I don't even remember that.
It goes rampant. All these kids, they don't follow rules. They do whatever they want. These teachers are just trying not to die at this point. And we have this group of students that is this character Stegman that we mentioned before, and he has a bunch of cronies. They all have names. And
do we remember any of the names?
I came up with names instead.
Okay, cool. Okay, glad that we're doing that.
They rule the school. They are the baddies. They are in charge. And then we have this new music teacher who comes in, Mr. Norris, and he just wants to teach music. He has students like Michael J. Fox, who he loves, and he is really upset that these students, this specific group with Stegman, don't want to listen to him, and they just cause shit. He gets mad about it. He assaults a kid, and it just
definite air quotes on that.
Yeah.
Oh, because he never assaulted the kid.
No, but he got
do
charged.
we remember the ending of the movie?
Okay, but
he assaulted 6 kids.
Well,
okay.
He actually.
So we'll get there.
We will get there, and anyway, so this movie takes place with these kids just fucking with him, especially Stegman. Stegman's what I would describe the perfect
piece of shit.
Not piece of shit, but like psychotic, overwhelmed by
just bad guy.
Bad guy.
Like,
and we don't like we usually talking about Disney. I've mentioned this before, where even Disney has taken to redeeming the villains, giving them some redemption piece of it. And looking back on a film like Class of 1984. It just makes me appreciate the fact that there are just some bad people in the world.
Sorry if I'm laughing. I'm laughing because every time we say the name Class of 1984, I think all three of us now have said 1984, which makes me think like people are gonna get it confused for the George Orwell novel.
It has nothing to do with it, or the terrible movies.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, both of them are pretty bad.
It has nothing to do with Big Brother. It's all about psychopathic kids in a school. And the reason we paired it with Dangerous Minds is because it's basically the same storyline of Dangerous Minds, which is teacher comes to teach bad school to be better. But where Dangerous Minds stops at that, she succeeded, the ex-Marine, she succeeded, like, of course, she made the kids smarter. Class of 1984 takes it that one step further.
Takes it almost too far.
I would say it takes it more than one step further.
I would say it takes it more than one step further and too far. I think that it went a little too far. Like,
I think it was I think it was like reaching that boundary, and then there was one scene which we'll get to later.
is it the scene?
It's the
Yeah,
one
it's
scene you're
definitely the scene you're
thinking,
thinking.
and
Okay.
once it hit that scene, I'm like, it was a really, really rough scene to watch. I'm like, this movie just took it way too far.
I think I looked away. I think I went to my phone just like pretending like casually that I was not. It was mainly to not stare at the screen.
Yeah, it was that. See, like again, it was up to
because
that
it was
boundary.
just so
It was
hyper-realistic.
yeah, it was a
too.
very good. It was
and,
right up to that
I
boundary.
did watch the scene because like that kind of thing I can watch on video and it doesn't like make me want to look. It does make me want to look away, but I watch it because I'm watching the film.
Right.
I mean,
And also,
I'm glad one of us watched it. Is basically
just seeing the fact that they. Should we say what it is yet?
So
Let's just say that they fuck with Mr. Norris, this teacher, really hard, any way they can.
Well, I mean,
First
they fuck with his wife.
They do. They start with his one other friend, the bio teacher. First, they like fuck with his animals. They
Oh,
kill
that's
them
not
all,
even
they
the
put them on
start.
wall.
Oh, let's
The
go back and just start to how the whole.
Yeah, let's just
we
from
can
the
do the
beginning.
whole. Oh yeah.
You know, so
Let's just go right
it
to the
basically
beginning.
opens and they're talking about how like, which is, I think you had commented, it's really interesting that we're watching this movie right now. The first couple dialogue between Roddy McDowall and the Mr. Norris, the teacher, was basically how they should be arming teachers.
Well, even like that one thing, Emily, I don't know if you have it in your notes, but that one thing at the very beginning, like that one wall of text that's like, schools, this is a fictional situation, schools are not like this today.
So real quick, I'm gonna read the text at the beginning of the film. This was Class of 1984, as we're discussing. Last year, there were 280,000 incidents of violence by students against their teachers and classmates in our high schools. Unfortunately, this film is partially based on true events. Fortunately, very few high schools are like Lincoln High. ... Yet.
And this took place and was made in 1983. And I think taking the fact that happened in 1983 and this year alone it's the beginning of March and we've had so many mass shootings already.
I don't even remember
Just
the
at high
numbers.
schools alone.
I think I'd say everything started with the drug deal that happened in the bathroom.
Oh, before that.
What point would you decide
when he first kicked Stegman out of that class. He kicked Stegman out of the first class with his friends, and that night, if you remember, they drove over to his house and sprayed him with that paint gun, like red paint in his face, and ruined his like sweater and clothes. Like that was, I would say that's where it started because that was their first moment of like physical violence against him. Like that was, I think that's where it all started was when he kicked Stegman out of class. Because, like, that was just like, oh, this is my teacher that I can fuck with now. You know? I think...
He's gonna fuck with me, so I'll fuck with him back.
Exactly.
They just continuously fuck with this teacher. It starts off with small things, like spraying him with the paint gun. And I think it started, like, really affecting the teacher
The drug
with the
deal.
drug deal. There was a drug
yeah.
deal that
Oh, yeah.
happened in the bathroom.
Was it Angel Dust?
I think it was
It
Angel
was
Dust.
Angel Dust, where Michael J. Fox's character had one of his friends buying whatever that is with I'm sorry,
Whatever
I'm
that
not
is?
up to date with drug terminology.
Up to date, Angel Dust was popular in the 70s. What are you talking
sorry,
about?
I don't do drugs.
Neither do... I don't have to do drugs to know about
No,
them.
no comment.
Anyway,
No comment?
No comment. I've never done Angel Dust.
So there was a drug deal happening in the bathroom with Stegman's crew, and they almost get caught. There's a baggie lying in the what is it?
The urinal.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like, it's under the... Okay, this was one thing that... this was the
It
first
looks
moment
like a
I was
shower.
like... This was the first moment where I was like, okay, I can kind of see why this is like a B movie. It's like small attention to detail stuff, kind of like this, where it was like the drain like came off of the thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so we're definitely not in a real school, and this is a set now. They would sort of do things like that to kind of like destroy the illusion of being at a real school, because like, especially during like that end chase scene where he's going like, this school clearly only has like 3 floors to it, but he's running around it like it's a fucking 6th-floor office park. And then also like just small things where like as soon as it was underneath a drain cover in a urinal in the bathroom, and as soon as that happened, I was just like, this does not seem real to me anymore, and this is clearly not a bathroom, and it sort of took me out of the film.
It didn't take me out because it's not something that I noticed because I don't watch a lot of movies.
You're also a girl and you don't pee in urinals.
Yeah, that's true. Peeing in urinals, whatever.
We'll get into that topic on another podcast.
That's for another
I'm
time.
sure it'll show up in another bad movie.
Huh?
I'm sure urinals will show up in another bad movie.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it again. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of these themes multiple times, because one thing I've noticed about all the bad movies I've watched, which is the reason we're starting this is because we watch so many bad movies, and it's like I noticed just a constant theme running between them of like there's always boobs, there's always like some form of like limb removal, there's always like something like that. Where it's like, I've watched 4 movies in the last 2 months where someone loses their right arm clean off. Specifically their right arm, and it's ripped off of them.
I mean, in this movie, it was the left arm.
Actually, it was the right arm, because he was...
No, he was backwards, and he got this one.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought he was laying on his back on the table, and then...
No, the saw was on this side of his body.
Yeah, this is the right side of your body.
Anyway,
No one's audio listeners aren't gonna get that any of what we just talked about.
That's probably gonna get cut.
No, I'm keeping
No,
it. I'm keeping it.
Anyway, so there's a drug deal.
I love you, Emily.
Love me, Jen.
There's a drug deal
I
going
love
on
you
in
too,
the
Jen.
sides of the
bathroom.
body.
The kid who bought it snorts it up, and then so he's high at this point. Then Mr. Norris goes into the bathroom, sees what's going on, finds the baggie. Oddly enough, like where, how?
It was
anyway,
just like
it
could have been
there.
hidden literally anywhere in that bathroom, and he beelines right to that urinal, and it's under the first one he checks. It was just like that took me. That was why it really took me out of it, because he was just so quick to find me. I'm like, there should be at least like a couple moments where he's like looking for like through the trash or something.
And like once he found it, he automatically knew it was Stegman's, and he went right to the principal about it, being like, "I know it's his," when he has no evidence.
Ooh,
and
that's a
they
theme in
can't
this
prove
movie.
anything. So him just making that claim should be enough to get like disciplinary action against the teacher, because the teacher can't just assume something like that.
Well, so my big problem with the film, this is like one of my only problems with this movie, was that these characters didn't seem real because none of them acted how anyone would act in that situation. If you find something and you clearly can't prove that it's this asshole's, you're not going to go and try to get this asshole arrested. Because, like, of course they're going to be like, but that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
Unless you're a petty ass bitch like Mr. Norris.
Mr. Norris, so that's the theme through the whole film, as you were saying.
Yeah, that like they can't go after these kids because I'm assuming that this is obviously it's an alternate universe. So
Alternate universe,
Well-
Abe Lincoln, like,
no, but
high school.
I see what
because
she's
like
saying. I see what she's saying.
because there's like this thing when they're like, oh, we can't go after minors because they're minors and it would go against their privacy and like all this other stuff. Like it almost seemed like it was like there was laws or rules in place that they couldn't touch minors at all. And there's actually one line I noticed that the police chief or sergeant or whoever said to Mr. Norris. He's like, you wouldn't be able to do anything unless you came in here with a kid holding on to you and like beating on you.
Right.
It was almost like the police actually have to witness the kids doing anything. It's almost like there's laws in place that the police cannot touch minors unless they actually witness the crime.
I mean,
even like at the end of the movie, like I won't get into spoilers. We'll get there. But I'll bring that. I'll put a pin in that, and we can get back to that.
Okay, so from there on, Andy, played by Michael J. Fox, his friend gets high off he did like so much Angel dust. Like he went like 4 times to his palm, like
In the
just
bathroom.
snorting it.
How clean?
Huh?
I said how clean. It's in the.
Yeah,
That's
at least he
classy.
did it in the bathroom so he could have washed his hands beforehand.
I'm sure that's what he did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
could,
men.
if you couldn't hit the sarcasm in my voice.
Alright.
No, so he gets really high,
Really?
climbs up the flagpole in a great proof of like his strength and upper body strength.
And if that kid was really Andy's best friend, then he should not have been as athletic as he was to climb up however tall, like, flagpole and just go
Yeah.
like this with the flag.
Hey, I think you're body shaming this band kid and judging
I am
him.
body shaming this band kid. No one that looks like that guy can do.
But you said that you did it, and you look like a twig.
Yeah,
You are a
'cause I
twig.
can.
So probably can he. So the kid falls off the flagpole in front of the whole school, fucking dies, like. And this was another thing that took me out of the movie. When he hit the ground, you could kind of see, like, because you saw him hit the ground, right?
Yeah.
I remember that, like, it was
Yep,
a slow
you saw
motion
him-
shot of him falling.
Mhm.
Kind of saw the ground, like, cave in a little bit to, like, show that there was a trampoline there so that, like, he was safe. Or it was, like, padded. I was just like, oh, I've seen that effect done in, like, good movies, too. Like, Animal House has it. But, like, I've seen that effect so many times, so it just took me out of it for a second.
I mean, it is also like, 80s special effects. So.
Right. So
Yeah,
it was
limitations.
Both of these movies, I can say, are definitely products of their time period.
Yeah.
Dangerous Minds was really a product of the mid '90s, where it was like, yeah. Oh yeah, with
Coolio.
Coolio, 1996 or 97, something like that. Because it was just such a, like, that was definitely a picture frame, like, version of mid 90s
Oh
California.
yeah, it was definitely the 90s because there was so much fucking flannel and no one was gay. Okay? Am I the only person who had this issue? Like, come
I mean,
on.
you kind of are, but that's also because I don't notice stuff like that. But you pick up on it way better than me.
And
in
also,
movies.
like, talking about, like, being gay, you had, like, all these flannel, no one's gay, and then you had in class of 1984, there was just an unnecessary boob scene like that we were talking about before, and the one girl was so into it, and, like, the homoerotic subtext, though, she was looking at her.
Oh, yeah.
And not in,
Ooh.
like, a platonic way.
Oh, not at all.
Well, I definitely think that she showed signs of at least being bisexual.
I think she'd be bisexual. I don't think
Gay?
she's gay. I think she's bisexual.
No, I think she.
And
I
that
think
can-
it was,
she was.
wasn't that Stegman's girl?
Yeah, it was Stegman's
Yeah.
girl.
That's a little gay.
Anywho, so they were definitely like great time frames of like when they came out.
The one guy who played Stegman, check, 100% yes.
What?
Oh, because he's from Long Island.
He's from Long Island.
And he
Oh
did
my
so
God,
much
right.
stuff. He directed The
Yeah.
Sopranos.
He was a really
Game of Thrones.
good-
I wish I could remember the kid's name. I say kid because he was about my age when they made the movie, but like, he's like a grown ass man now who like
Yeah.
does like like he was a huge part of The Sopranos in directing Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, all the HBO stuff.
Yep.
He directed the first episode of Game of Thrones
And the second episode.
and the second episode, right? And it was just like, who is this guy?
Oh, I wrote down his name actually. Tim Van Patten.
Tim Van
Van
Patten.
Patten.
What a champ. He easily gives the best performance in this movie.
Oh yeah, and like he's up to some big names in 1984, and he doesn't do much acting.
Roddy McDowall was like one of the best parts of Planet of the Apes. He was the ape that was like, you have to convince me. And it was like, and so he had the more interesting role, whereas Charlton, talking about Planet of the Apes for a second, because it relates to how Roddy McDowall acts in this film. It's like, he was, in Planet of the Apes, he's the ape that you have to convince. And he's the one that like, so he had a lot of freedom with that role. In this movie, he's already had that mindset of like, you can't convince me that like, this is going to end well. You can't convince me. I have my mindset. So he was sort of limited in this film of just like a two-dimensional character of like, this isn't going to end well and I don't know what to do. Except for that one fucking scene where he holds up the class with a gun.
Ooh.
That was such good. Like, I really thought his acting was great there. It
was the level of I've lost my mind. And
Let's talk about
it takes a very good actor to be able to play the I've lost my mind, but I once had a mind.
Right.
It's not like you've always been kind of like gone. He just was so tired of these students, especially Stegman and his crew, taking advantage of him doing.
Well, it's because they killed his animals.
They did kill his animals, which is one of the ways that they get back at him and Mr. Norris.
Yeah. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say let's actually get into how he lost his mind.
Yeah. So after the scene with the kid dying, basically they start going after Michael J. Fox for Stegman's crew. That is going after Michael J. Fox because they're worried that he's going to rat them out to the police, and so they attack him in an alleyway with his girlfriend ish. I don't know if they were dating, but
They should have been. They were cute.
They were adorable together.
I know.
They were really, really cute.
And that girl, by the way.
Ooh.
I loved her.
Let's save that.
Yeah. I'll just say now that I loved her character and like who she was, like just as a character.
On Wikipedia, it said that she played clarinet, and I was like, no, she didn't just play the clarinet. She did like conductor things. She played like 4 other instruments.
I was so proud of my fairy cut girl.
She
was a
so
fairy
good.
cut, right?
It was like a pixie cut, yeah.
Was it a pixie cut? Pixie cut, that's what it's called.
If she was a real person, she would go so far.
Oh my god.
Oh, she would go. Oh yeah.
Juilliard.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
We didn't have someone that was unproblematic in this movie except for her. She caused 0 issues.
Yeah, and that was one thing in Dangerous Minds where it was like the whole class was a problem. Like Michael J. Fox was never really that big of a problem. He didn't really cause a problem.
He was just a threat to Stegman.
He was hardly a threat to Stegman.
Oh no, not at all.
No, but
he was a
Stegman,
bitch. He wasn't gonna say shit.
I know, but Stegman thought he was going to be. He could have been.
Yeah. Okay. So I see that he could have been, but like
he was a perceived threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which can we? Okay. So we're gonna talk about basically the alley scene happens. Mr. Norris saves him from. You good there?
Yeah. I'm sorry, my pants are just too tight.
No, it's fine. My pants are always too tight because I'm a fat guy. Anywho.
You got the lesbian and the fat guy.
That should be our new sitcom.
The better name for this podcast.
No, it's not. So,
Sorry, Malaysia.
Yeah, she's definitely getting... At the end of this show, you gotta remind me to thank her for helping us come up with the name. Anywho.
Yep.
Michael J. Fox definitely was like... I don't think he was as big of a threat as Stegman. Stegman should have realized he wasn't going to be that big of a threat. But anywho, I keep saying that. Anywho.
You should get a buzzer that just says, anywho. Get back on track.
Titties.
Dem titties.
Ooh, we haven't gotten to dem titties though.
Oh, we talked about dem titties. We
talked
just
about
didn't
them.
say dem titties.
Yeah,
Because
no.
dem titties.
Dem
I'm
titties. I'm straight. So it really worked out.
Everyone in this room likes boobs.
Yeah, still pretty nice, And it was like, it was. I can't say it was tastefully shot.
Can't even say it was tastefully shot or like well placed.
I like that you saw where I was going with that sentence. I was just like, it was No, it wasn't.
It was not tastefully shot at all.
There was no point for it to be in the movie. And
weird.
that's one thing that I've noticed with what are stereotypically bad films versus good films.
Oh no, just call them bad films. Don't even
bad films
qualify it.
Generally have no better way of getting a point across or developing enough content for a movie, so they just show boobs, and as an audience we're entertained.
Well, so one thing that you'll start to realize as we go on forward with doing this podcast, because we're going to keep watching these bad movies, one thing that you're going to realize is that a lot of these directors and writers are foreigners from other countries who want to...
Wizzo.
Well, I mean, he's just eccentric to begin with.
Is he actually American?
No.
No, he's Polish.
That's why.
Well, no one knows where he's from, but his IMDb page says that he's Polish, so I'm just gonna go with it.
He's definitely European.
Yeah,
He's
European.
not American.
But so there's like a lot of foreign filmmakers who want to break into the American market, and they're like, how do we do that? Oh, boobs, and how do we define a villain? They're gonna rape a person.
Well, I mean, Emilio
I
didn't
know.
rape anyone in Dangerous Minds,
Well,
but that
that's-
leads us to Class of 1984, and that's what finally sets Mr. Norris off. He's been, psychotically manipulated by Stegman this entire movie, and Stegman finally takes it too far the night of the orchestra.
the big concert.
Yes, the big concert. He takes it too far while he knows Mr. Norris is out getting ready for the concert and his wife's at home. His pregnant wife, Stegman and his cronies all show up and choose to sexually assault his wife.
Yeah.
And not only do they do that, each and every one of the guys assaults her. And
The bisexual girl takes pictures.
yes, the
That's actually really
girlfriend
important.
takes
very
a
important.
Polaroid picture of Stegman raping Mr. Norris's wife.
Yeah, I don't remember if we even got a name of her.
No, we
No,
didn't.
I think she had a name, but it's irrelevant. It's just
Right,
the wife
right.
at this point.
Yeah.
And
Well, because she's gone
only
for a
in, like-
majority of the movie.
yeah, she's
She
really
went to the
not-
moms or something.
Yeah, she went to the moms. He didn't want her at home, just because it was a threat and he didn't want her to like get hurt. Well,
Right.
she ended up getting hurt. She almost died. They took a picture of like manipulating her. Stegman took her and was sort of teasing him at the concert. He got the Polaroid picture and he just ran out of there so fast.
Right as they're about
It's
to
like,
begin the
good-
concert,
like-
too.
As
Yeah.
a music teacher, like he ran really fast.
Well, so I think we might have missed a line somewhere that said he was like a veteran or something. I don't know. Because he fought fucking hard in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
In those final scenes, like, he's fighting 16, 17-year-olds.
But he, like, fought them hard.
Like,
Especially the big guy.
the big, who was taking lead pipes to the arm and being just fine. Giant tank guy,
The huge tank of a dude.
Yeah,
Huge
huge
tank
tank,
of
of a dude. But so before we get to the climax of the film, basically Stegman just keeps fucking with them, and to which Roddy McDowall's character is the biology teacher, like a science teacher,
Mhm.
and he has a bunch of animals. I'm assuming to
As
teach.
a bio teacher, yes.
Yeah, you just have animals. Like I remember we had a rabbit at my old high school.
We didn't have any animals.
Oh,
Actually, we
lame.
had a turtle.
Oh, that's cool.
We had a bunch
Yeah,
of
he had a
cats.
name, but I
You
forgot.
had cats?
They were dead.
Oh.
They were, like, for dissection.
Dead cat. Cat dead. Details later.
Okay. Also in the film,
Flash that scene from Reanimator real quick.
I know this isn't funny, but I really liked how they took all the animals. They like sliced them open, did whatever. They put them around the room, and then there was the cat. The cat, nothing was done to it except it was just hanging like a human. I thought
Yeah.
that was so odd.
It was a weird just scene in general.
And like Stegman didn't have any cat scratch marks, and like you can't even pick up one of my cats without having like scars everywhere.
Well, so I think
It was probably the tank man.
yeah, I think so. Or it's just like the thing that we're forgetting to mention is that Stegman's a literal genius.
Yes.
And that's not like he's just so bad that it like his plans are so well concocted. It's like no, he's actually
No, he's
like,
actually a genius.
he's well trained in piano. Like he shows his skills off in the beginning of the
Music room,
movie, when he was kicked out the second time.
See,
When
when I
he
saw-
proved that he's great with manipulation with his mother.
When I saw him on the piano, I thought it was going to be one of those, like, tropes where it's like, oh, this really, really bad kid, and the teacher comes in, and they're having issues with each other, but then, like, he sees the potential in the kid, and he breaks through.
I thought this movie was going so many different places.
Not at all where it took this movie. Not at all.
It was crazy.
It was, this movie was,
And
oh.
so basically things just keep happening. It keeps getting worse and worse. Stegman stages an assault on himself in that same bathroom. He like smashes his own head into the mirror and against the sink and like cuts himself all up while Mr. Norris is in the room.
And he puts his blood on Mr. Norris's hands.
Yes, and so basically Mr. Norris is like charged with assault and like
And he continues teaching. Like,
yeah.
if you do that, you're not a teacher. There's no we'll wait to see kind of thing.
Well, I think it's because they're so
you're
desperate for
suspended
teachers.
as a teacher.
And then afterwards, Roddy McDowell goes crazy and holds up the classroom with a gun. And it's mainly like just Stegman and his like group, right?
Yeah,
I couldn't remember
with.
if there was any like other.
No, I
kids
think it
in
was
there.
just. Well, there were other kids in there, but he was only fucking with the ones that were part of Stegman's crew.
Okay, and like it was just so. That scene was really good. Just like the Roddy McDowell's performance in that scene was fantastic. And then after that is the car scene when Roddy McDowell is like trying to drive down Stegman outside of that nightclub that we keep cutting back to, where there was that.
It's like an angsty emo nightclub that he has a hold of that
Who's
he
playing
does like
there? Was it
illegal prostitution out of
Talking
there.
Heads?
No, it wasn't Talking Heads. It was like some made-up band.
No,
Head.
Teenage Head.
Teenage Head.
Yeah.
Probably supposed to be like Talking Heads, but like
It was just angst. Like I could feel the angst in the room. Like it was.
it was supposed to be like
protruding
it was
through
supposed to be
the
like a
TV.
1980s like punk dive.
Yeah. It's like
There's a kid with an X jacket.
Yeah, you pointed that out. You really loved
I
it.
want his X jacket.
You should listen to the album.
No.
That was just brutal. Oh.
Good. I don't want you to listen to the album anyway. You're not good enough for my vinyl.
That is the argument of a defeated man.
Woman.
Sorry, I knew as soon as I said it, I was just like, I fucked up for the first time this whole podcast.
You've been very good this podcast.
I've been very good in general. I pride myself on that because like,
it can be hard at times.
Flavor I wanted.
What flavor is it?
Lemon berry squeeze. I went for
You're
orange.
my lemon berry squeeze.
Aww.
Well, I'm gonna keep that part in and cut out everything before it. Literally the whole podcast. We're gonna.
Hi guys, welcome to listen to Burnt Popcorn.
No. So it was in that scene. So it reminded me a lot of when Ace Ventura goes to the nightclub in the first movie, and it was like, and Cannibal Corpse is playing, and he's like trying to make it through, and there's that huge fight that breaks out. But then it just goes again that next step where Stegman walks outside, and Roddy McDowell runs him down with a nice car.
Really nice car.
It was that. Every car in this movie was really nice for the area that they were in. I have to say.
Well, like you saw like Mr. Norris's house. It was a nice house, and
I couldn't
what
place
looked
where
like
this was.
it was generic city.
Generic city.
Like I wanted, but like clearly, Dangerous Minds was set in Palo Alto because it was Palo Alto High School.
But this is like Abe Lincoln High.
I know, but
I'm thinking somewhere in the Midwest.
I was thinking Detroit for some reason through the whole
Yeah,
movie.
well that's what I'm. Yeah, like
suburbs of Detroit,
or maybe
though,
like a Cincinnati or like a
yeah.
like a Rust Belt
keep
city.
looking at myself in there.
It's okay. We understand that you're a narcissist. So
A little
anywho,
bit.
no. So he tries to run Stegman down, who has amazing grip strength in this
Oh
scene.
yeah, he's
Oh.
like on the
Holds onto
top
the
of the
hood.
car, just like going around.
For like a good 2 minutes or so.
The
he's
scene
just holding on.
Oh yeah.
And then Roddy McDowell crashes his car, and it explodes, and he dies.
And people start dancing around the
Yeah.
car.
I didn't see
There was
that.
like as soon as it crashed, there's a group of kids who started like
It was
dancing around the
probably
car.
Stegman's crew.
It
Doing
was-
the rude boy, just
It was very
They take
quick.
they take dancing on his grave to another level.
they take everything to another level.
That's
That's the
true.
general like basis of this movie is everything is just taken to another
An
level.
extreme.
It was taken at a good level though, because everything in the end was set up from the beginning.
Setups to
Everything.
payoffs.
We saw one of the first shots of the entire movie was the gun that whatever his name is used to hold
The
up
chemistry
class.
teacher.
And
Great.
Bio.
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 He was
Don't
a
forget bio.
teacher of sciences. I think you think that high school is rich enough to afford more than one science teacher?
He's probably the
Not
only
that
science
school.
teacher in that damn
They-
Who
school.
the fuck wants to work
Which
there?
again, a 3-story school really is not the right setting for this
No.
movie. I guess that sort of plays into why I consider it a B movie or a bad movie, because like the setting does not fit the character development.
Development.
Don't
There
say
is.
that
Oh,
I think
Stegman goes from being that pompous ass to being that like
psychotic.
not just there's a couple steps in between. It goes from being like pompous ass kid to fucking genius
I think he
to
stayed a genius.
and he's still a genius, but then he pushes it to literal psychopath
Yeah.
who will harm himself to get what he wants and manipulate what he wants.
My favorite thing that he did that just set me off and made me understand how psychotic he was when Mr. Norris went to his house to talk to his mom about what happened with the assault. And, you know, the mom boots him out because she's whipped. And Mr. Norris is going down to the parking garage or leaving the building. And Stegman goes up and talks out to him because he knows just about where he is in the building. And talks to him and is like, you're never going to get me. Like, you got to watch out. Like, just saying that and knowing the fact that he was listening.
That timing, man.
He's got great timing. He's a genius.
He is. And then one of my favorite scenes in the movie comes right after that when he crashes Stegman's car.
Yep.
That beautiful cherry red convertible.
And then locks the door at the end.
I can't even name the... Yeah. He just destroys
That
it.
was nice.
And that sort of like sets up that Norris knows what he's doing too.
Yeah.
Because like he breaks into the car, hot wires it, and then crashes it. Like he knows what he's doing to fuck with Stegman.
With no like airbags. Stegman goes, you know, rapes Norris's wife, takes a picture, starts this whole like goose chase of Norris just fucking losing it and running across this huge building
right.
with like a full car garage and like a double layered gym. Like I don't.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
a,
It
yeah.
had
crazy.
like a weird level to it, and I only know that some college gyms have that.
And that's some. Our
And
gym
that's
isn't
some.
even
Ours,
like.
our gym doesn't have that, but I know I did visit schools that did have the
Right,
double
right.
letter gym. I just haven't seen that in a high school, especially not in an area like this took place in.
Oh gosh.
Again, that school just took me out of it. I was just
It
like
just
this.
And how nice that auditorium was.
it was
Oh,
so
yeah.
creative. Like one thing I really like about these types of movies is how creative the deaths can
Oh my gosh. Can we get into Mutilator for 1 second? Because
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to do a Mutilator
get.
episode.
Okay, just talk about it quickly.
The gaff in the Mutilator.
What was it?
That was the big hook. So for those of you who don't know
Oh!
we're going to talk about this for a second.
I was thinking the animator. Was
I
like,
had to. I had to
what?
leave the room for that scene.
No, there's a shot in a movie called The Mutilator, which is like a Friday the 13th ripoff. We might do an episode on it, I'm not sure yet. But there's a scene where, if you don't know what a gaff is, it's what those giant fish hooks are that are used to, like, when you're fishing, you catch something, you pull it on the side of the boat with a gaff. The shot is, it goes into the girl's vagina and then up, and, like...
And it comes out.
And it comes out through like her stomach, like her like
It's
pelvis,
gross
her
looking.
pubic area, and it's insanity. It's just it. I'm a man and I hurt.
As a chick
like-
with a vagina, that fucking would be in terrible pain.
Like I said, I had to leave the room for that scene.
See,
It
that's the
was-
thing with these bad movies is they
They take it too far.
I mean,
No, but they take it creative. It's something that you've never seen before.
But
like-
it's too far.
It is too far, but you've never
I don't
seen
know
it.
if it's too far though, because like
The
they
rape
need-
scene was too far.
The rape scene was definitely too
Yes.
far, but you
That's
need
not
that.
something that you should show, but it
But
was
it's-
good
you
for
need that
context.
It's good if
Shock
you.
value.
It's good if you imply that there was a rape happening, like you have them like holding her down and like they're about to, then you cut away. But
Right.
this
No,
showed
they
the
didn't.
whole rape,
Yeah.
and it was graphic, and just it.
It was so I mean I understand as someone who understands filmmaking and who wants to be a filmmaker, I understand what they're doing. What they're doing is they're going for shock value.
Yes.
And because it's a B movie, it doesn't have many big names. Michael J. Fox wasn't huge at the time. Roddy McDowall was not towards the end of his career, but like getting there. The Planet of the Apes were starting to wind down at that point. Just in general, his career was on the decline.
Like, just talking budgets for a minute, like, comparing Dangerous Minds' budget versus, like, Class of 1984, Dangerous Mind had a $23 million budget. And then we have Class of 1984, which had a $4.3 million budget.
Wait, you're fucking kidding me.
No, I looked this shit up.
That's Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Actually, now that I've stopped to think about it for a second, I get it. Because it's like, they had to do a lot more gore effects. They had to do a lot more, like, probably a lot more, special effects in general. Like, that car flip was really well filmed and well done.
It was
Dangerous Minds or Class of 1984?
1984.
Did you just expect it to be lower?
I expected Class of 1984 to be a bit lower, yeah. More than Dangerous Minds, at least. I thought they would be
Dangerous
reversed.
Minds had, like, $23 million put into it, but that's because, like, it had Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Right. Wait, was that 23 or 2.3?
23.
Oh, okay.
You think it was 2.3?
I thought that they spent more money on Class of 1983.
Oh, no.
Than
Oh,
Dangerous
how
Minds.
much do you think Michelle Pfeiffer...
I was so fucking nervous for a second.
No, $23 million.
2.3 was probably Michelle Pfeiffer's bill.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense, and I'm probably gonna edit that out. Because I don't want to look like an idiot, and I
don't know my left and right, so I mean, who's
Apparently
the real
neither do
fool
I.
All right,
here?
you know what? Fine, I'm keeping it in. I'll look stupid.
Yes. So
where I was going with that was like, for a lower budget thing, like, you have to go shock value. That's what draws people to come and watch your movies, is the shock value. And some movies do it well, and some movies take it too far. I think Reanimator did it really well with the whole severed head cunnilingus scene.
That was weird.
It was weird, but that's what they were going for.
But it also wasn't, like, so graphic it made you, like...
No, and
Yeah.
It was well shot.
It was well
they
done.
went for funny because it was a severed head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it like, they did it well. Whereas I think with Class of 1984, I mean, I get what they were going for, shock value, but they just took it way too far.
Yeah.
Well, because, like, I was there, I was like, Stegman, I was like, they mentioned
Stegman's
rape.
a dickbag.
They mentioned rape earlier on his record. Like, I think I called it even, like, a couple scenes
Yeah,
beforehand.
you said they're not going to... when...
I thought they were
in
going to
the
rape
alleyway.
the girl.
Yes, in the alleyway when they had cornered Andy and his girlfriend, who were really cute together.
I thought they were going to rape her, and I
Yes.
was like, what's going to happen is they're going to rape... Stegman's going to rape her, and that'll drive... And they'll kill Andy, and that'll drive Norris into a murderous rage.
Because we watched the trailer, and we did see...
I saw that there
some
was...
sort of, like, shooting or, like, a lot of gore.
I saw that Norris went... He took his revenge in the trailer, and I was like, okay, that makes sense, and... I vaguely remember, like, 5 seconds of a shot of what seemed like it would be forceful sex from Stegman. And I was completely wrong. It was Norris's wife, and, like... Can we get into the creative kills for a second?
Yes.
Because that's one thing I love about these movies.
Yes.
Is how creative the kills are.
Oh, every kill was different and unique, and you've never seen a kill like that.
It was
every
perfectly
kill
from
was
the
set
beginning.
up.
We've watched movies like this before, with movies like Slaughter High or, The Toxic Avenger, which is my favorite.
Is Toxic Avenger still your favorite after Class of 1984?
Class of 1984 is my new favorite, but they both, like, those two movies both had creative kills that were either set up way in the moment, like in the environment, or in the beginning, like specifically to what the people did to them in the past, for instance.
Right. And, well, so... Again, going back to Mutilator for a second, because, like, there are so many of these movies that we've watched that, you can really see a pattern forming. Mutilator set up literally every kill. There's a shot
in one scene, they set up every single...
Not just the one scene, but, like, even when hanging the people up on the hooks, in the garage was set up, like, because they go down and they're like, oh, we better watch out. We might poke ourselves on these, these little spikes in the garage.
Yeah.
Everything was set up.
You could like put that in like. Just
I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything was set up, and it was just, and a lot of good movies don't set things up well.
Yeah.
One of your biggest problems with Friday the 13th was that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just felt like not only weren't they creative enough, there was only one death that I think I found amusing or like entertaining in Friday the 13th that could have been set up in the beginning.
Which one?
The arrow.
Oh, Kevin Bacon
Yep.
getting stabbed through the mattress.
Kevin Bacon, who didn't I say he looks like my father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone in these movies looks like Emily's family.
A relative of mine somehow.
About that Friday the 13th kill, it's so good of a kill that they repeat it in another movie, except it's a spear through people making love. Like he's...
Rip. What a way to die.
Oh no, that's the wrong way to die. Die peacefully in a bed.
Die while having sex. You're having fun.
No, I mean, okay, hold on. We'll get into this debate for a second because I disagree entirely.
I think...
Especially if it's just me dying during the sex, what would that do to the woman?
Oh, I'm talking like spear right through. Like if I was killed while doing whatever, like at least I'd be dying doing something that I like doing.
Would it be like through the back of the head and into her, like a mutilator situation?
Oh no, I don't even want to think about that.
Okay, so anywho. So he hunts them down through the school. Who dies first?
We have
Was
Mohawk Man.
Mohawk Man.
Yes.
Mohawk Man was the saw blade.
Yep.
Yes.
Trying
Through
to
his right arm.
trying to cut trying to cut through Norris. Norris flips it on him, cuts his arm off, and then just doesn't stop there and just pushes him onto the blade.
Pushes him entirely on.
Like the kid was done fighting.
Well, no, the kid got
the
up.
kid got up
kid
after
got
his
up.
arm was completely severed
Really?
off.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, he got up,
that's why
and that
he had to be
he like
pushed down.
pushed him down.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I thought he was just sort of like standing there like,
Oh,
I just lost my
no.
arm.
No.
And then Norris just...
I mean, I don't think he was gonna.
No, I
he would
didn't
be able
think
to
he
do
was gonna be
anything.
able to do anything
But when he
either.
pushed up on Norris just kind of like pushed him back down and his torso into the blade.
I gotcha.
So maybe the kid was done fighting, but like
And
he
then-
stood back up.
And then after that...
Was
Tank guy?
No, it was Tight Pants Man who was burned alive, aka Chain Man. Chain Guy.
Yeah, Chain Man gets burnt, like...
With
violent-
gasoline.
Violent burn.
One thing I love about these bad movies is they do not shy away from lighting someone on fire.
Oh no, never. And I like how they always show like, depending on who's doing the special effects makeup, different versions of how they die.
When
Like-
yeah.
Of what the aftermath of burns look like. Like you have Slaughter High's, acid burns, and then you had this movie that almost looked like ash covering his face.
Yeah, which was actually more like, because we watched The Outsiders also, because we were like, oh, these gang kids kind of remind us of these gang kids, and it was like, I think it was really close to like a Ralph Macchio in The Outsiders kind of burn, where it was like,
it was just
what a
kinda-
burn
yeah.
actually looks like.
Yeah.
It was really well done,
Oh, that's
My favorite part was that like he was completely lit on. Like he knew he was standing in gasoline. He watched the guy put fire on him,
This
and he kind of
bothers me
stood there.
so
He
much.
kind of just stood there, let him burn, going like flailing, and then.
Him running when he was on fire looked so real. It was really well done.
Oh yeah,
It was so well done.
Well, that's because they just lit a guy on fire and was like, just run.
Yeah.
Run.
Well, because
Dun, 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 dun.
when we watch, we're gonna watch Samurai Cop at some point, and we're gonna pair it with Lethal Weapon because that's a great pairing.
Ooh, I want to see Samurai Cop. I've never seen Samurai Cop.
Honestly, put it on the list.
Definitely. Well, I've seen Samurai Cop 1,000 times because I would argue that that's my favorite bad movie because it's just so bad.
I mean, Last Vampire on Earth.
It's so bad, but in a fun way.
Okay, and
Anywho, there's a guy in that's lit on fire, and these bad movies they just don't shy away from it. They're not afraid to light someone on fire. And
Because you can't go wrong with that. It's always entertaining.
it's not just that you can't go wrong with it. It's actually a really cheap effect to do. You put them in heavy wool clothing. You douse them in. There's this type of like jelly that you do. It's a cheap effect. It's actually really safe. I think 0.01% of people who are stuntmen doing this effect like actually receive burns from it. Or like are harmed physically from it.
Yeah, and they obviously have like people on standby. Like,
yeah, definitely. Well, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it without fire department.
Yeah.
Someone there who knows how to put someone out.
Yeah.
I will say in Samurai Cop, however, they don't do that, and there is the guy who gets lit on fire has to be put out by the actors, like with extinguisher and blanket. It's that cheap of a production. They couldn't
afford the fire department.
Well, it's not even afford. They just they couldn't like talk to it. It's we'll get there.
Okay, so after we have Chainman die by being burned alive, essentially, we have this huge guy who just throughout the entire film's been kind of like a prick. You know, they're all Nazis because they kill Hitler, and they're wearing swastikas on their shirt just around. It's the 80s.
Wasn't one of the opening scenes like them hailing Hitler?
Yeah,
well, so the first scene, when we're introduced to them in the band room, Norris is like, "You, Stegman, get out," and they salute Hitler. Like when Stegman like looks at him, it's like.
Mm-hmm. And then they wear like memorabilia of swastikas just around, and it's okay.
Like who's the shitty? What I just imagine them being in the writers' room and just being like. Let's just throw it. Let's throw it all in there. Nazi, rapist, murderers.
Everyone hates Nazis. Everyone hates murderers. Everyone hates rapists.
This guy is huge. He's a Nazi. They're all Nazis, but like he's huge, and he just keeps taking hits. You know, Norris. He just lit this other guy on fire. They're still in the car garage, and he takes out a lead pipe, just keeps hitting him with it. He's unaffected by the lead pipe.
This kid. Air quotes all around the world.
None of them are kids.
I mean, but this guy specifically looked like he was in his early 30s at least.
Yeah.
He was a tank. He that was one thing I think I said. I was just like, I can't believe this, only because like
he was taking
even
lead pipes.
with a lead pipe.
Oh yeah.
He would feel it. But anyway,
Bye Girl comes in.
Then after this guy's knocked out, he's not quite dead because he's just
he's like trying to get up.
He is trying to get up, and then we have, since they're in a car garage, the bi girl, Stegman's girlfriend, gets in a car and then just starts driving.
Girl.
Okay, I liked her hair though.
I saw you crushing a little bit on her during the movie.
I have a thing
will
for
admit
pink hair,
I was crushing on her kind of. I thought when Norris first runs into the empty hallway and she's like, "Come get some of this, teacher," and like was doing the weird like boob grab. I was like, she's fun.
I like the girls with pink hair.
Oh really?
Liz?
It's a joke because my girlfriend has pink hair.
Bright pink.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
It's like pink Lazy Town girl.
It's not Lazy Town girl.
I just
pink.
love that you use Lazy Town as an example.
It
does
Her
not
hair
look
is
like Lazy Town.
Girl pink.
Okay.
Anyway, but Stegman's girlfriend gets in this car
Anywho.
and drives at Mr. Norris, who's just knocked out the huge tank guy, and so she drives. He gets out of the way because it's not that difficult, and she does she run the guy over?
Yeah.
Yeah, she runs him over and then crashes and breaks the car that's hanging on the thing down, and it crushes her car.
Yeah.
So like.
And she doesn't die right away because he still needs. Norris needs to know where his.
Did she tell him?
Wife
I couldn't understand her.
So I think she said like above the theaters.
I was gonna say,
And she dies.
did any of us understand her like
No, 'cause
outright?
it was very mumbled. I also would like to point out that we've talked about Class of 1984 for a majority of this podcast.
But I would also like to point out that's because it's so much. There's so much to unpack in this movie. Dangerous Minds is so stereotypical.
And like a lot of people have seen like Dangerous Minds.
Right.
Like it's a classic.
You're not wrong. I agree with you, but like, it's because
Who's
Dangerous. Anyone who's seen Stand and Deliver has seen Dangerous Minds. Anyone who's seen, Freedom Writers has seen Dangerous Minds. It's all the same shit. Meanwhile, Class of 1984, I can't compare. I can hardly compare it to Dangerous Minds. The first half of that movie, maybe, but the second half is uncomparable to anything we've watched at all. I have to say. Once you get to the scene, I think where Stegman breaks his face against the mirror and then like beats himself up, we've moved past anything I've seen.
It was actually a very well-made movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That it had the small like things that took you out of the movie. I think it was definitely one of my, not even my favorite like good bad movies, but my favorite movies at this point. Because like I really liked Heathers. I think this was Heathers, but like more fucked up, and like it's on a spectrum of like Mean
How do
Girls,
we make it farther?
Heathers,
How do we take it farther?
Class of 1984.
Mean Girls, Heathers, 1984. Is that like
because it's like the same like vibe. Just
right?
It gets more and more fucked up as you go along.
A lot more fucked up.
So everyone's dead except for Stegman now. Stegman's got his wife. They're on the roof. They get into a fight. Stegman, I think, gets him with a knife a couple times, or someone
misses him with the knife.
Misses him with the knife. Okay, and then he disarms him, drops him through the fucking plate glass ceiling right above the concert hall. Stegman's holding onto the rope, and it's like, please don't let me die. Please do not let me die. And Norris is like, it's that same, I say stereotypical because it is. It's so stereotypical where it's like, take my hand, I'll save you, person that I despise. And rather than being, like, my life is about to end if I don't take his hand, I'm going to take this 1 in 100% chance. Like, it's so little of a chance to actually, like, hit him. To, like, just swipe at him. I don't think he even had a weapon at that point.
No, he did. He took one out of his pocket.
Okay, so was that the knife?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I made a comment about cut the rope, cut the rope, cut the rope.
Right. And it was just like, he takes one bad swipe with the knife, falls right off, breaks through the ceiling, the rope breaks and ties around his neck, hangs himself in front of the entire fucking school.
Because the concert's going on at this point.
Oh, and let's talk about the
Amy's
overture.
Girlfriend was taking like over Norris's job of conducting, so it's like great symphony of orchestra.
And to mention about the symphony real quick, that was even set up because when they're talking about like, hey, we need to play a big important song, let's do the 1812 overture. Early on in the movie, before anything got too fucking far.
Yeah, it was just something that you thought was going to just be mentioned, but then they took it, they used it, and they used it really well.
Extremely well.
Stegman came down, and he had the rope around his neck. Everyone just stopped. The music stopped because it was at, like, the high point of the song. And my favorite part was when he was hanging there. He wasn't fighting against the rope, like, flailing around, like, in most films when you get hanged, you do.
He was just like...
He was
his
looking
neck
right up to...
Yeah, he was looking at
Norris and his wife on the roof. And just, he had this smirk on his face. The smirk he's had on all film. Like, this isn't the end kind of thing.
Oh,
like, you didn't win. I did this to myself.
What a champ. Honestly,
He died very well.
I will... Okay, so now we're going to get into the part of the podcast... I think, now that we've fully gone through the plot of both films. Because, again, the plot to Dangerous... I almost just said Stand and Deliver. The plot to Dangerous Minds, Michelle Pfeiffer's an ex-Marine who teaches these kids and uses unconventional methods to teach the kids. Gets too attached. One of them dies. She's real sad about it. She almost quits. They convince her to not.
And then the last hour of the podcast was the plot of
yeah,
Class of 1984.
I broke that down in faster than like 2 minutes. Meanwhile, we spent an hour talking about Class of 1984.
And that's just breaking down the plot.
And that's sort of what we're here to do.
Because,
we're here to talk about the good and the bad of movies.
Well, and so that's you'll usually be able to tell which movie we loved more based on which one we talk about more.
Yes.
I think that's a great example of like we love this way more. I think Dangerous Minds is a great film. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't super bad. It wasn't as bad as like. It wasn't the worst good film we've watched. It wasn't the best good film we've watched.
Well, you also think like The Room is a good movie.
Okay, but I love The Room. I love The Room unironically because it's an example of a man who had an idea, and god damn it, nothing was going to stop him from doing it, even how bad he was at doing it.
Hopefully, let Tommy Wiseau into the Oscars tonight.
Yeah, the Oscars are going on tonight, and we have no idea.
I'm about to Google it.
If they let Tommy Wiseau in, I really hope so. But like, so, you know, clearly we're gonna talk about which one we liked more, and that was Class of 1984. I thought it was the better movie. I think we're gonna go round the circle and just say which we thought was better. I mean, of course, you're gonna go with 1984 because like you saw it.
I mean, from what I remember
let
about.
him in.
They didn't let him
They
in?
didn't let Tommy Wiseau into the movie.
The bastards.
That was fucking off his.
The Academy's got to stick up their ass, but that's for a whole other podcast where I
It
just
is.
bitch into a microphone for 3 hours about Hollywood.
It's only been a while, too.
But I guess like from what I remember, because I have seen Dangerous Minds before on like TNT or like one of the, like the shows like channels.
Yeah,
Just
like it was a USA or an FX kind of thing.
Yeah, and I kind of just saw it, and like
TNT. I love that. I love that TNT was your go-to.
I think it was TNT. It was one of those channels,
Right.
and I'm like it's a good movie, but like Class of 1984 is just like there's nothing else like it. It is. You will never find a movie like it ever.
It's so good.
You think it's gonna go one way, because you're like I've seen movies go this way so many times, and Class of 1984 just it's its own thing. It takes it
exactly
where no other movie would dare to go. I say
it's not just that no other movie would dare to go there. It's just that like you think that this is gonna happen. Well, no, fuck you. This is gonna happen, and then it's like, oh, you think that Stegman's gonna be a genius, and we're gonna play that fucking fiddle again? Nope, go in this direction. And then it's like, oh, you think he's gonna stop once like Roddy McDowell's threatened him with a gun? Nope. You think we're gonna stop after a kid died? Nope. You think we're gonna stop?
That was just the beginning.
You think we're gonna stop after a rape scene? Nope. We're gonna kill all these kids now, and then the movie's just over. Like
it just ends.
It's so good. I loved it.
What was the thing at the end?
The end said, after Stegman's hanging there, this entire, pretty much the second half of the movie, whatever his name is, Norris is facing assault charges for what he supposedly did to Stegman.
Right, I was gonna ask. I can't remember what happened to.
It said that, there was never enough evidence that was found.
Right.
That he could be convicted of assault against Stegman or the murders of these kids.
Oh, the irony. I love it. Because, through the whole movie, it's been a theme of, like, you need evidence, you need proof, you want to convict these kids, but you're giving us nothing. And it's like, it's just the ironic twist at the end. So my thoughts are, I loved it, loved everything about it. I loved stretching a $4.3 million budget into a movie that was better than a $23 million budget movie with Michelle Pfeiffer and, people with good acting credentials. Fucking love that this was the start to Michael J. Fox's career. Really love that it was, Roddy McDowell gave an amazing performance. I loved the plot, loved everything about it, honestly.
I think it was a really, really good movie. The acting was great. At least I think. Like there was some moments that it was.
Chain guy
couldn't act.
But between the main characters, I think put on a really good performance, and really like
people who are specifically cast.
Yeah, like the supporting characters. Like how often were they even really in the movie? Like it was mostly,
Michael J. Fox wasn't even in it for that long.
Yeah, it was just like Norris, Stegman, and like occasionally Stegman's cronies, but like even then, it was mostly just like Stegman and Norris.
Yeah. I mean, Roddy McDowell shows up for a little bit. Michael J. Fox isn't even in the last
half the movie.
We forgot to talk about the stabbing.
He got stabbed. It's not important.
He got stabbed.
That's how unimportant he is.
I mean, we didn't really
that was just one of the things that Stegman used to like fuck with Norris more. because like
Right.
he was afraid that Michael J. Fox's character was gonna rat him out for selling drugs, and
So he just stabbed a bitch.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Emily, what were your opinions?
I fucking love this movie because
Over danger.
yes,
Clarify.
overtaken.
I was gonna say.
I liked Dangerous Minds, but like it's the kind of movie that I'd watch once and probably not watch again.
Right.
Class of 1984, I would definitely watch again. You know, it's kind of the
I would
thing.
pay multiple movie tickets if this showed in a theater.
Oh yeah,
So
that would
I,
be good.
I really liked Stegman. I thought he was the perfect villain because, like I said, you don't see any like purely bad, psychotic, brilliant, awful people anymore. Like bad guys.
Right.
And
every scene that he came in the latter half of the movie, I just felt a tension that I hadn't felt since Darth Vader showed up. Like, because it was just like that brooding like tension of just like, oh, this is a bad guy.
And like as awful as he was, and as far as he took things, I was excited to see what he was gonna do next because he was just so fucked up of a person, and he didn't just use like small things. He used things that he knew was gonna fuck with Mr. Norris and like everyone around him, and he was just so brilliantly written as a character because he could have gone multiple routes, but he ended up going the route he did, and just that's full-on psychopath murder everything. And I really liked his character. I didn't really like Norris's character much.
No,
I'm not sure if it was because of the actor, but I didn't feel for the actor much.
I didn't really care.
No.
The fact of the matter, I think I cared more about. I thought Roddy McDowall, I cared more about than
I think
him.
he gave a better performance, the actor.
Not just the Roddy McDowall, or okay, I was gonna say because like I thought like Norris. I think I said it earlier was like kind of two-dimensional to me.
He didn't grow much because he started off not liking this kid. He didn't ever have a positive view of him, and it just kind of fell and fell.
So he gives that piano performance, and then there's that one moment where it's like Norris is just going, you know, wow, where'd you learn to play like that? That's impressive. And then Stegman is just like, do I get to join the band? And I mean, yeah, I think he's being sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
But for a second, it kind of what? For a second, it kind of seemed like normal.
Jen, you good?
Are you good?
Do you need to take another fucking water break? Get out of here.
Just yeah, I'll hold
Take the
this.
L.
Just talk about the piano
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
while I'm not in the room.
Why? What's so funny about the
I have no
piano
idea
thing?
what's so funny about the
Hold
piano.
on. No, come here. What's so funny about the piano?
It's not that funny.
She's losing her shit for no reason.
Jen, do I need to bring the squirt bottle in here? Come on.
I can't control myself. I'm sorry.
It was just he beautifully plays piano.
I know. And he does. He plays it really, really well.
What about it was fun? What about it so?
Nothing. I just
Literally, you're just losing it.
just-
Like you've got the gigs.
She needs a nap.
I'm just losing it.
So when we're talking about this piano scene because it's just like it's the one place Norris could have had a character arc and didn't, and that just made him sort of two-dimensional flat for the whole movie.
And like for me, what obviously plot is important when it comes to what determines a good or bad movie. At least for me, I think character is such.
Oh
like,
yeah.
if you have good characters, you could give him nothing and they can work with it. If you have no like solid characters and you have like you can have an amazing plot and it will fall. Like because I saw him as a two-dimensional character as
Right.
well. I don't think like it made it difficult for me to feel for him when he was so angry. Like I understand he should be upset. We should be upset about what Stegman did to his wife and all the other awful things he did. But it was difficult when I didn't feel like he was a real person.
Well, so that's a thing in filmmaking in general is there's, in my opinion, there's the three, it's like the three-pronged tier of like what makes a good movie. Character, plot, and visuals.
Yes.
And like, this movie, I think, nailed it on all three. We're dangerous. So if we set this same standard to like Dangerous Minds, you know, character was pretty good in Dangerous Minds. The plot was pretty good in Dangerous Minds. The visual was pretty good, like all across the board, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The character was great in this movie when we weren't talking about like Norris or like even the girl that like the composer girl had a really interesting like flow of her character because she went from being like a kind of a teacher's pet to like I think I got this.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Nothing.
she was like, "What? Wait, what?"
I said literally the teacher's pet.
Well, yeah, she was the teacher's pet, and it was just like, but then she goes on to like, "I can do this. I think I can do this," and
like,
she does.
She had a lot of growth. Like you saw her start at the beginning of the movie, trying to conduct the band, and
right.
It was bad.
It was growth. Like that's what.
Oh yeah.
Movies
And
do.
you saw Mr. Norris teaching them, and then she gets up there, and because Morris runs off to go kill the kids,
right.
and they're like about to like cancel the show, I guess, or like do something, and she's like, I can do it, and the principal's like, oh, we have a surprise, and she's gonna conduct, and she did a beautiful, beautiful job. The band was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and yeah, I loved both these movies, but Class of 1984 takes the cake.
Yeah, I enjoyed both, but like, I think it was easier for me to watch 1984 because it was, not, I guess, more interesting. It was more, I'm a product of this generation. I have a short attention span, and I need to be entertained.
Right.
And when it came to Dangerous Minds, it felt like it was sort of slower moving.
Mm-hmm.
So when things are slower moving, I get bored, and it takes me out.
I couldn't have said it better, honestly. So we were actually going to talk about another movie called Fateful Findings, but we're going to save it for another time.
Oh God, no! I thought
think-
we were gonna get out of it.
No, we're going to talk about Fateful. We're going to talk about all Neil Breen movies.
That's what we should do. Neil Breen special.
We're going to do the Neil Breen
Let's
special.
not do a Neil Breen.
Oh, we are.
I should come back for the Neil Breen
No.
Oh,
special.
absolutely.
It was so bad.
It was so good.
Like, I wrote down a few notes and just like, none of them make sense.
Because it's a Neil Breen movie.
Like, I couldn't tell you what happened in that movie if I tried. There was what plot, like, what?
No, we're definitely talking about Neil Breen in another episode, and we'll talk about Fateful Findings and all that. But
Okay.
I think this is pretty much where we'll leave Class of 1984
Oh,
and
bless it.
Dangerous Minds. Definitely the winner is Class of 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Got my vote.
Yep.
Got my boat.
And so that's a clean sweep amongst the three of us. Jenn, thank you very much for being our first guest.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Emily, thank you for agreeing to do this podcast with me. Co-hosting this podcast with me, and thank you all for listening if you've made it this far.
Or watching.
By the way, I should do some housekeeping for a second, which by that I mean if you're listening to this on WNYO, good job. You found us. And that's
if you
really.
Want to see the full unedited version.
Yeah, well, I mean, edited to less edited, I would say. But no, if you want to see what we're talking about visually, we're gonna post this to YouTube. And you might be asking yourself, well, why then am I listening to this on WNYO? Because we're gonna be posting on WNYO first. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post to WNYO. And then a week later, I'll post the video to YouTube, or maybe even like a little while later, like maybe even a week and a half-ish later.
I don't know. You're doing all this. I'm here for support.
I know. I'm editing.
I'll do
this.
the social media.
Oh, gladly. Honestly,
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
We don't have an Instagram yet.
Not
We
yet.
will.
We'll
Put
figure
the
it
link
out.
in the description.
If you go to the WNYO website, they should have a biography of the show up there, and I'll have links to all that.
Yep, and so if you're on WNYO, you've heard this, but so it's like a double benefit kind of thing. Like, you're listening to this earlier and before everyone else, but you don't get the visuals. If you watch us on YouTube, it's a little bit later, but you get visuals with it. You get to see clips from the movies that we're talking about, and you get to see what we look like as we try to stumble through these movies. But anyways, so I'm Charlie Shipley.
I'm Emily Kwasnick.
And our guest.
I'm Jenn.
And
I'm Jenn.
adorable. And that's burnt popcorn. So have a nice night.
Have a nice night.